Well, hello, everybody. So sorry I'm starting late. You would not believe the night I had. I got late because I was so involved in um, cleaning up to try to sort of appease my wife because she had to wake up at 5 a.m. to teach a class this morning, an exercise class, and we were shooting and keeping her up till 1 a.m. last night. So it's been a wild time. So, as some of you know, I'm in the middle of shooting a short film, and which is great. And I was just thinking about like, how do I talk about this to my family? Hi, Angie. um, how do I talk about this with my family? It's like, 4, 5, 6 months ago. I'm not sure. Maybe about 6, 7 months ago, my wife went into the hospital to have some surgery. And, we had to she was sleeping in the living room for a while. We had to support her. And I was like, think about it like that, guys. Think about it like dad's having this sickness. Like, dad just needs a lot of support for several days. Dad's not feeling well. Um, so if I can just sort of paint the picture. So last night, we're in our driveway. So I've got my driveway. We got the porch to our house. So we had two guys laid out, and they're dressed all in black. And one of them is a double for our cameraman. We had to sub him out because the cameraman had to shoot. He's got a part in the film, but we needed to sub him out so that the cameraman could shoot this very intricate shot. And so these two guys are lying there dead. Hold on. Some people are still trying to get in. One second. And I think if we just do this, if you just go to my channel, that works too. And then you're in. Okay, so where was I? Where am I? Oh, I can't even find me. There I am. Okay, so we have two corpses laid out, and the cinematographer is like throwing blood. I collected all kinds of. I got some glass frames and I broke them, like tempered glass, so it's not as sharp. It comes in little squares, and I scattered that all over the bodies. And then I went up into the hills last week, and I found a bunch of spent ammunition shells, and I poured that all over the bodies. And then we're pumping smoke on my driveway at midnight, right? And we have these two guys lying there on the cold concrete, and they're like completely miserable. And they're like, we got to wrap this up. I got to go home. And we're pumping smoke, and my son is awake, and he kind of shouldn't be. And it's like, he's got to hold this laser pointer because we come past these bodies, and then there's this person, they got a laser sighting on their forehead, and then I run out. And so anyway, so we're doing this, and everybody's getting cranky, and everybody's getting irritated, and everybody wants to stop. And then the guy on the ground, one of the guys on the ground is like, that's it, I'm done. He's like, had it, which I've got to say, I'm used to for my whole career as a filmmaker. I'm used to, it's 12:30 in the morning, and and I'm trying to push everybody to get. And I was like, guys, I think it's okay. So the guy who's on the ground said, like, he goes, what we should do is this. So he gets up and he gets this whole new fresh wave of inspiration about how we should sort of like try to tweak this. And so it was this incredible kind of like group energy shift kind of thing that was really kind of wild. I was very strange to sort of be a part of it. So anyway, so making a short film, which is always a whole ordeal. So the reason I was late this morning is my living room was an absolute disaster. Like, Mandy couldn't go out the front door this morning because it's littered with broken glass and shotgun shells and blood. If somebody comes by and sees that, they're going to call the cops. They're going to say a murder was committed here because it looks very convincing. So I got to clean that up next. But I spent the morning, I popped up out of bed 7, didn't get as much sleep as I wanted to. And I'm rushing around trying to tidy it up so that my wife doesn't come home to this horror show. I have a feeling it's not going to make a difference anyway. She's still going to be like, you kept me up all night. So anyway, and this for me is part of sort of living my vision, which is what I sort of want to talk about today. Is the showing up for it, right? Is doing what you can toward it. And I think the main thing I want to sort of talk about that sort of everybody needs to have for success is momentum, right? You need to have momentum. And the way that you build up momentum. So for anybody who's here, everybody who's watching, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in. I will just kind of talk about this until we get a question, and I'll kind of weave it together. But if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. So the reason we were able to shoot this is we had a friend of mine who's gonna be in town. But hold on, my wife is calling. Hi, sweetheart.
Hi, husband.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm okay. I just went live on YouTube. Yeah. So you're live with us.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Well, we need to catch up at some point.
Yeah.
I have a lot of stuff to tell you.
A lot going on. Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
When are you going to be home?
I'm teaching at 9.
Oh, it's right. This is the one where you have the double. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So just make sure you wake him up right at 10.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. All right.
Okay.
I love you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. Okay, bye.
I shot some stuff yesterday that was like, if your marriage is in a rocky place, don't try to shoot a short film. Don't do that. It's definitely a stressor on a marriage, stressor on a relationship. Not a good thing. So, but it's important. It was important for me to do this because showing up, and that's kind of thing, is the showing up consistently is kind of the key to everything. And of course, the showing up consistently is hard because there's so much, what's the use? So I want to try to sort of encapsulate that. So going back before my wife called, the reason I was able to sort of shoot this film was because my DP and I had been getting together for the last several months, just once a week, and just kind of planning it out, just kind of planning out the film. And just slowly over time developing it, right? So here's that consistency over time, whether it's once a day, a little bit you do every day, or it's once a week. And as long as you're consistent with it, things will move forward and things will happen. And I'll talk about my screenwriting career because that's another example of a very long-term, but very slow, keep putting a penny in the piggy bank and then suddenly you're rich, right? So, so then we got a call from the actress and we had done enough pre-work to be like, yes, we can shoot it. So she's in town, she's getting her roof repaired. And so it's like we said, this is kind of the perfect time. So we'd done enough work where we had enough momentum, because if we hadn't done some pre-work and we tried to hustle and do everything would have been thrown together. Now, because filmmaking has been such a big block in my life, narrative filmmaking, right? I'm a commercial director, but narrative filmmaking is very different, as this situation is showing me. And so I'm not as practiced at this. And so there's just naturally things that I'm doing that aren't perfect because I don't have as much experience with some of the things. Like I shoot lifestyle commercials where you have people golfing and they're by the pool and they're doing that stuff. And so it's like your takes are like someone walks across the pool and you have a shot and you're like going with them and stuff like that. You know, so it's usually one shot and then it's cut. And so this is very different because there's all this dialogue. A lot of times my commercials are silent, or there's just like one line, or, you know, someone's talking directly to camera. But this whole thing of following a story of people, so different, right? So, and then also when we light these lifestyle commercials that we do, everything is bright and sunny and happy, and everybody's having the best day of their life in this resort or whatever, right? Here we're doing stuff where it's dark and moody and brooding and storytelling with the lighting, and so that's all very different, and it's all very challenging. Like film lights are heavy, and you got to pick them up and carry them around and moving, and so I have been very afraid of all of this. I have, and my perfectionism has been so big that that it stopped me from taking action. And really, at the end of the day, the deal is it wasn't so much the difficulty of the task, it wasn't so much I'm not good at it. It was the underlying blocks, right? And that's the whole point of my channel and everything, is to sort of clear the blocks, which I had been working on for the last several months. For so long, I just pushed it. I kicked the can down the road. And so that's what a lot of people are doing with their dreams. They're just kicking the can down the road. But I didn't get to work and get busy making a film because I've done that in the past as a way to try to get to the next level. And it's met with so much failure because I didn't work on the things that were holding me back inside. That's what I didn't work on. So this time, that's where I started. I started with that. So I started working with I'm a loser. I started working with I'm so angry at myself because I did not become the filmmaker that I was supposed to be, right? I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. These are the things that stop me. These are the real problems. The real problems were not that filmmaking is hard, etc. So the last, 3 or 4 months, especially, I've been working with those feelings and moving through them. And then I had a very important realization. I realized this is going to be hard. And I have another YouTube video that I want to do specifically on this, but I'll talk about it in here. So the other day, it was like Thursday of last week. I guess it's almost a week. My DP got sick, and so we couldn't rehearse and we couldn't practice. And then the guys that were supposed to help out and help us shoot this thing, they dropped out, and so we're not prepared for the stuff that we're supposed to shoot. So I found out about those guys on Saturday, and we're supposed to shoot starting Monday. And what happened to me there is what I call a lower self-attack. Right. These are the parts that I've been working with, but this is an actual stimulus that is now triggering this pain that's locked inside. So there's two different aspects to working with parts. I feel fine right now, or I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling a bunch of junk, and I decide I'm going to work with that stuff. So either I feel fine, but I know that I'm working on, I feel like a loser, I feel like I can't do it. Then I'm living my life and I get triggered, and now I'm taken over. And make no mistake about it, this is an actual real life possession. You are no longer in your right mind. You are being possessed by an energy that takes you over and controls you. Hold on. I think somebody's trying to get in. So you're being possessed. I was possessed by an energy that took me over completely. And so we had a rehearsal scheduled. And my cinematographer, he'd had the flu for several days. We postponed the rehearsals, and we got there and we sort of did the lighting, and it looked terrible. And we walked through the thing and it wasn't good. And so everything looked completely dark to my parts. And I was like, this is screwed. We're shooting in 2 days and we are not prepared, and this is bad. And I just went into this dark hole. And now, because of the work that Now, because of the work that I've been doing, now I go, wait a minute. I mean, I have to be honest. Gee whiz. Somebody can't get in. Don't know why. So, because of the work that I've been doing, when this came up, right, it took me over. This wasn't like, oh, I see my part and I'm detached from it and I'm standing. No, I'm completely caught in it. I feel completely lost. I feel completely hopeless. And this is what's happened my whole life around filmmaking. This is why I had so much trauma around it, around shooting a feature and finishing it and then just letting it die. My whole life is littered with trauma around filmmaking, right? And so here this comes up again. And in the back of my mind, I know this is not the reality. I know that this is what I'm healing from, but it's too real and it's too convincing. So it's kind of hilarious because I teach this work. This is what I do. Like I sit here and I talk about this and I help people understand their parts, and yet I'm still completely taken over. And that's the point. That is going to happen because you're always going to be working on your edge. You're always going to be working with a part that takes you over, that still is this voice from the past that is compelling. And so this is my edge. This is what I'm working on. But what's cool is I woke up the next day and I slowly worked myself out of it. And I tried to be with it in the moment. And then I remembered about 3 years ago, the first time I shot this really big commercial and I hired a fancy LA director of photography. And he came in and there was a problem with the lenses. And I always say, it's like, you don't really know what you're dealing with in a relationship until you've seen someone's lower self. And this guy was such a sweetheart. He was so like kind and everything. And I never really saw his sort of dark side. Well, the day before the shoot, I did. He was somebody who, when things get messy, he stops communicating. So he completely stopped communicating with me. So I did not know. I went to bed that night. I loaded up my entire car and I called my buddy Rome, the guy who's shooting this film with me. I said, load everything up. We may have to shoot this commercial ourselves. And I had no idea what I was going to walk into the next day. I thought it was going to be a complete disaster. It was one of the worst days of my life. And I mean, I went to bed like in a sweat, in just absolute terror. But this is my trauma. This has nothing to do with filmmaking. And this moment here that happened to me on Saturday is the same thing as that. This is that child fully reliving and going back through that trauma of oh my God, my dad is hitting my mom. What is happening? This is pure chaos. And my nervous system is going back into that place. And so this was very healing for me to take that energy, work with it, to work through it. That's why I'm shooting this film, so that that can come up, so that I can heal it. And I will say that nothing's gone perfect. It can't, right? Because I'm at the level that I'm at. But I've showed up for this film better than I've showed up for any other narrative film. Because what happens to me is I get so frozen with the logistics of the task. And when you're shooting a film, there's so many logistics that I like skip the creative. Why? Because I'm afraid of the creative, right? So there's all these tendencies that I'm working out. So I want you to get the shape of this. I'm working on all the energy underneath, right? And I'm dealing with the emotions, instead of just going out and trying to shoot a short film to get to the next level, because I've probably done that 6 or 7 times with varying degrees of failure. But what I did differently this time is I spent time, months, working on changing the environment inside of me so that I don't just get the same results. Can everybody relate to that? Changing the dynamic. So if it's like, if you've been in 6 relationships and they've all gone south for a variety of reasons, it's like, it's time to sort of do some work on yourself and see, why do I keep creating this? Or if I keep getting jobs and I keep getting a boss from hell, these are patterns that are being determined by this inner state. So that's what I did differently this time. And I was definitely able to show up, and we definitely got in tight spots. And last night at 12 in the morning with a bunch of people who were upset, it was the same environment that I've been in my whole filmmaking career, but I was a little bit different. I can't say I wasn't just like, no, we got to get it. It's like, okay, I was sort of willing to stop. It was just different, right? So that's just sort of a sign that something is changing. The fact that I could do it without it being this total meltdown, this is also the thing. And then the next step for me is going to be just to finish it, just to get something done, get it out and show it to people and say, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what I did. I'm going to have to work through all the feelings around that. So I hope this is helpful for all of you to sort of see a really live example of going through how messy it is, but focusing on the feelings and healing that as a way to change how the experience is going. If you have a situation in your life, something that you're working on, and you're banging your head against the wall and you've done it for years and years and years, or you have a dream and you've given up on your dream, this is what you want to do. That it's because it's not a matter of you haven't just tried it yet. You've tried it. You're hitting a glass ceiling, and this glass ceiling is this trauma envelope that won't let you grow past your 4-year-old self. Okay. So that's the situation. And so that's why I really want to encourage you to focus on the feelings first and then take the actions that are in support of that. And I was talking with my sister the other day, and it's just like, and the key ingredient behind all of this is surrender. And that's kind of what happened for me in this shoot. In several times I was able to surrender. It's like we had a child that was supposed to be there for this shoot. And it's like, are they going to show up or are they going to not? We're supposed to have cameramen show up. Are they going to show up or not? It's just like, there's a certain amount of like, okay, I just don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore. And that's actually healthy. That's actually healthy. Okay, I'm going to stop rambling about this, but for me, this is really good to sort of talk about. And I hope it's helpful for you because this is real life trauma in action unfolding and healing. I'm in the middle of a very healing process. That's why I was saying, to my family, just look at dad like he's convalescing from an illness because it's kind of true, right? Okay. So I want to wrap this up. Are there any questions right here? Because I want to do a little bit. We always do a little bit of a meditation. I'm going to go a little bit longer today, just because we started a little bit late. But are there any questions from the peanut gallery over there? No. Okay. So then let's do a little bit of a meditation then. So let's get quiet. Let's slow down. And then as soon as we're done, I have to get back to cleaning because everything's like, I don't know where I got this surge of energy. I woke up at 7, I popped out of bed and I've just been cleaning. And it looks like we did when I finished when I woke up this morning, it literally looked like a bomb. It had exploded in our living room. There's like lights everywhere. There's food everywhere. There's dirty dishes and plates. There's fake blood on the floor. There's tape marks all over the floor. There's just equipment scattered everywhere. Fog machines. I mean, it's just literal disaster. Bullet shells. I still have to clean the front porch. That's a whole deal. That's going to be fun. So we're going to get ourselves calm, and then I'm going to go back into cleaning to see if I can save my marriage. I'm just kidding. You heard my wife. She's very sweet. Okay, so here we go. So take a nice big deep breath, and I want you to drop down into your stomach. If you're feeling stressed at all at any point, it's always a good idea to just kind of drop into your stomach. And then I also like to drop down into my tailbone. I want to do a whole video on like the body is really the secret to happiness. That's where you're going to experience your happiness. And so you want to go directly into the body to sort of get to that happiness directly. It really has nothing to do with this stuff out here. Oh, I have this dream. I'm going to do this. That's not where happiness is found. Happiness is found directly in your body. And so the more you get to know your body, the better chance of happiness you have. So you're down in your stomach, you're down in your tailbone. Just go into your tailbone and see what you feel there. Do you feel any energy? I know when I first started going down in my tailbone, it was like there was a fire there. There was like a fire. There was so much stuff there. Now when I go down in there, it's relatively quiet. And it's funny because a lot of that fire was this paralyzed energy that I'm working through here with this filmmaking. So keep going down your legs, go all the way down your thighs, your hamstrings, into your knees, and just let the energy flow down into your calves, into your shins, all the way down into your feet. Just follow that energy all the way down into your heels, into the bottoms of your feet, into your toes. And take a deep breath. Whenever you're really stressed, it's such a great idea to go down to the lower half of your body, because the lower half of your body, you may have corns or bunions or whatever, but the lower half of your body doesn't feel intense drama emotionally the way the upper half does. Once you start getting above the stomach, that's when you start getting into fear and anxiety and rage and panic and all of these things, sadness and heartbreak. So it's a good idea to ground yourself. So now, coming up from the toes, let's take all that beautiful sort of energy and bring it all the way back up through your ankles, through the lower leg, through your knees, into your thighs, your hamstrings, into your pelvis. Pause there in your pelvis. Feel whatever energy is happening there. And then let that energy come up your body, into your stomach, into your solar plexus, which is just below your heart, right? And then let that energy come into your heart. And it's like that energy now has accumulated. And so it's kind of swirling around, and we're bringing it into your heart. That's good. And breathe into your heart space. Yes, beautiful. Breathe into your heart space. And the next energy center is around your throat. So let that energy that's in your heart come up to your throat. This is one of the areas, ironically, since I am such a communicator, that is blocked. But there can be other expression that's blocked. Yeah, like my filmmaking is very blocked, right? That's one of the key ways that I like to express myself in this world. So I'm working on unblocking that. So maybe that's why it's more blocked. And so do you feel energy there, or do you feel blocked? Let that energy from your heart continue to come up. Come up, let it fill your head. See if you feel energy around your third eye, which is just between your eyebrows. And then another energy center in your body is the crown of your head. Do you feel energy there? Okay, good. We just kind of did a trip through the whole body. And because notice we paid attention to our body, you probably feel more centered now, more calm. So come back down into your heart space. And what I want you to do is I want you to sort of grab hold of your dream. Whatever it is that you want to do, that you're interested in doing, it's there for a reason. It's there for a reason. And just hold that energy. Now, this energy could be anything. It could be like, oh, yes, this is beautiful because this is what my heart wants. Or it could be filled with a lot of disappointment and rage and friction and all sorts of things because you've been going at it and trying, and it hasn't been working the way that you want to. So what I want you to do is I want you to picture your heart, and I want you to just notice how open or closed it is. Is it 10% open? Is it 90% open? Whatever it is fine. And I want you to picture that there's just some like little curtains in front of your heart that demonstrate how open or closed it is. And then I want you to very gently just to open up the curtains like 10% more and let a little more light in on that dream. But let the light hit it, open up 10% more. And how does it feel to be open? Now, it might be scary to open up a little bit more, but I also bet that it feels kind of good, right? You actually feel safer in the world when you open rather than when you close. When you close, it's because you're afraid and you don't feel safe. And when you close, you perpetuate that fear. So open another 10%. And let that sunlight open into your heart space. Very good. And notice if your posture is changing, notice if your breathing is changing, and open up that curtain another 10%. Does it feel like the sun is rising inside of you? Open another 10% and just feel how good it feels to open. It feels great. It feels better. Now, at a certain point during your day, you're going to go back and you're going to close off. But I want you to see that it actually feels safer to be open than it does to close. We close because we think it feels safer, but kind of go back to that 10% real fast and notice that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel safer. So it's ironic that we make ourselves feel less safe by trying to feel safe. Super duper ironic, yeah? Okay. So now open the curtains all the way and let the sunlight of the Spirit shine on your heart and just drink in how good that feels. Good. Take a deep breath here. Open your heart and slowly open your eyes and keep your heart open. Don't let the opening of your eyes and coming back, don't let reality or life close you back down. Good. Stay open. Okay, good. How does that feel? Yeah. And I know some of you listen to this later while you're driving. And if you're doing that, don't close your eyes while you're driving to meditate. That's my strong recommendation. Well, it was nice having you all here today. It was great to sort of share what's going on with me. And I hope that there are plenty of things that you can take and apply to your life. And I would say, just to sum it up, is instead of going out and trying to crush your dream. So let me give you an example of the way that this looks. So I said I would talk about my screenwriting career. So it was my 45th birthday. Was my 40th birthday? I don't remember. One of those two. And I said, I'm sort of going nowhere. And one of the quotes I always have is Arthur Ashe. Use what you have, do what you can do, start now. And I didn't have the energy to be a filmmaker, but I said, I can wake up and I can write a screenplay page a day, every day. It takes about 5 minutes. And so I did that. And I did that almost every day for 10 years. And at the end of that 10 years, I got paid. I before that, a couple years before, I'd gotten what I would call a semi-professional. I got hired, I got paid $250 to write an Amazon pilot. So it was a professional gig, right? But I didn't make a ton of money. But so then a couple of years after that, I got hired to write an actual screenplay. But the practice started with just every day, just doing this little bit that I could do. And so that's the thing. So when you pair doing this inner work with showing up in the smallest way. So if you're a painter, paint a little bit every day. If you're a jeweler, make a little jewelry every day. Do that little bit of what you want to do. Do you want to dance every day? Do you want to sing? Just do a little bit, do the smallest amount. And I guarantee you, it will build over time. I didn't really talk about momentum the way that I want to do, because it's okay, because I have a whole video that I want to discuss and talk about momentum, because momentum is the way that you actually break through to the next level. So stay tuned to the channel so that you can hear about momentum in an upcoming video. And I'm sorry I've been so quiet this week. As you can hear, I've been very active behind the scenes, very active, keeping very busy. So for those of you on the school community, I'll be back to posting a little bit more regularly in a couple of days. And for those of you on YouTube who've been waiting for another video, I'll have another video for you in a couple of days. I have one that's almost done. I just haven't had any time to work on it. So I hope you're all doing great. Thanks for tuning in, and set a reminder. Mark your calendar every Thursday here at 8:30 a.m. Pacific. And if you haven't yet and you're just hearing this, please go down and like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and you'll see me pop up in your feed more, which could be good or bad. If you're sick of this mug, that could be bad for you. But if you're not, then it could be good, because I'll show up there. And then it also helps get the message out to other people who need to hear this, because what we're talking about here isn't talked about in our society enough. of the way to actually handle your problems and the way to actually achieve your dreams in a way that's sort of healthy and that you can do with happiness and feel good while you're doing it. Okay. Cheers, everybody. Have a great one. Thank you for being here. Bye.